Michael Hernandez here of MLH Media, and we are here for the 10-second mark, episode 4, guys. I'm very excited to bring you guys this episode with Marc De La Cruz. Just for time purposes today, we are not going to have a third round, and we are also going to be having another episode coming up here pretty soon. A little bit of a special, going to be showing an inside of the Visalia PAL boxing gym and talking to Jennah Creason, the student of Marc De La Cruz. But before that, I want you guys to get to know Marc De La Cruz, the owner of Vitruvian Martial Arts, a man that has had multiple years of Jiu Jitsu experience, a veteran himself as well. I only felt it would be appropriate to be dropping this episode on the week of 4th of July. We had some exporting issues, so sadly was not able to do it the day of the 4th of July, but I'm very excited to bring you guys this episode, and I'm also very excited for this upcoming UFC card that we have this weekend. UFC 290 is going to be an absolute banger of a card. Not only do you have Volk and Yair going at it in the main event, which I'm super excited about. I feel like that fight can go both ways. I feel Volk could either find the inside and just really establish himself and beat up on Yair, or Yair can really make a statement in the featherweight division and make Volk make that permanent move over to the lightweight division, because I feel if he loses to Yair, there is no real point in going on that whole goose chase to go back up to the title or to rematch Yair for the title, and instead I feel like it would just be better for him to go after Islam over there in the lightweight division. But you also have Brandon Moreno, who is kind of looking to kind of form his own rivalry with Alexandre Pantoja, who has been his monkey on his back in his UFC tenure over here. He has had 2 losses to him, and both of them have been in pretty pivotal points in his career. One point was at the Ultimate Fighter, and that was obviously a huge deal because that was his entry point to the UFC. He was actually able to get a contract due to his personality on the show, though. But once the UFC was planning on cutting the flyweight division, they ended up having a matchup between Pantoja and Moreno, and with Moreno coming out the loser in that bout, he was sadly released of his contract and had to go back to LFA. So I feel there is a lot that the UFC can build off of going into this fight, but we shall see. I really feel that Brandon Moreno is going to be able to come out there and defend his belt. But Alexandre Pantoja, man, those Brazilians, man, they're crazy, especially him. He is one of those guys from American Top Team that is an absolute killer, and I feel he is very undervalued in the flyweight division. He is finally getting his recognition due to the fact that people are looking back at his previous fights with Moreno. But even watching that fight with Perez back in the day, man, he it was only a year ago at this point, but man, he just tore through him. And Alex Perez is a very, very solid fighter in the flyweight division. So if he can do that to Alex Perez, then I'm very, very excited to see the matchup between him and Brandon Moreno. I know it's going to be a very entertaining fight. But also on that main card, you're going to have Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis setting up that middleweight division to have a pretty crazy a pretty crazy trajectory there. If you have Robert Whittaker win this matchup, everybody's kind of asking that question: does he deserve that next fight? He's already lost to the champion in Israel Adesanya, and there's not really a point to do it, not really a point to have that rematch in a right away circumstance. But you have Dricus du Plessis, him and the champion at the moment do have a little bit of beef. It goes deeper than just fighting. It goes down to the culture of the South African, and then obviously Izzy being from I believe New Zealand area, and or he's living over there now and is from Africa. But Dricus du Plessis is questioning a little bit of his ethnicity and his roots, and obviously that did not go over well with somebody like Izzy. So we're very excited to see how this matchup between Whittaker and du Plessis plays out. I feel Whittaker takes it by TKO in the second round. That's my prediction. But we can I can definitely see this going Du Plessis' way on the ground. Du Plessis is very dangerous. He can lock up something quick, and you never know, a little knee lock or a leg lock or anything of that sort. It could definitely end a fight pretty quickly. But you also have another matchup that I'm excited for in that main card. You have Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker. And Jalen Turner is one of those exciting prospects in the lightweight division. Very lengthy guy, the tarantula coming out of Ruka over there in Costa Mesa. And then you also got Dan Hooker coming out of the same gym as Volk and Whitaker. So this is a card full of all those guys from the land down under over there in Australia. So it's gonna be a pretty good card here for the Aussies, you know. Hopefully they can pull out the 3 wins and, you know, be pretty successful in their trajectories. But Jalen Turner is looking to at least make a loss on one of those against Dan Hooker. But Dan Hooker, man, I don't know. He's got that new hair. He's looking pretty solid, man. So I'm very excited to see how Dan Hooker fares against Jalen Turner, another guy that fits his fighting style. This matchup, I'm really having a hard time predicting who I think is going to win, but I'm probably going to say give me Jalen Turner by TKO in the third, and I don't think it's going to be a TKO lights out. I think it's just going to be damage is just going to be dealt in this matchup. This is definitely going to be one of those that a lot of people did not have circled going in, but going to definitely be talking about after, I feel for sure. Bo Nickel, another interesting prospect, somebody that was missing a matchup going into this fight. Tresean Gore just dropped literally today on July 4th as I'm recording this, and he got an opponent the same day, Val Woodbum, a prospect coming out of the Florida area. He is 7-0 with most of his victories coming due to KO and TKO, 5 wins due to those, and then his last 2 victories have been by decision. Excuse me, but he is looking to be a very dangerous fighter. He can be somebody that can put a lot of, I guess the wording I'm looking for here, he can put a lot of stops in the plans for the middleweight division. They're obviously looking to put Bo Nickel on this trajectory, this kind of hyped up trajectory that they've been trying to do for a couple of guys in the past. And this guy has that knockout power, so I'm very excited to see what he can do. But then again, that wrestling of Bo Nickel is just absolutely insane. You cannot just count that out. So Woodbum is going to have his hands full in his UFC debut. We'll see if he keeps that record priceless. Another couple of matchups to look out for here. Another last second edition, Jack Della Maddalena and Josiah Harrell. Another kind of last minute pickup. Both of these guys being from Meridian Sports Agency, so shout out to them. They're doing their thing over there. But this was supposed to be between Jack Della Maddalena and Sean Brady at first, and then I believe he had another opponent, and that guy dropped out, and now it's Josiah Harrell. They were able to pull him, so that's definitely going to be a very exciting fight. Jasmine Hodegui, the 10-0 prospect in the women's strawweight division, she's going to be facing off against Denise Gomez. And then you also have Robbie Lawler's last ever fight, and he's going to be fighting against Nico Price. This is a fight, it could be very winnable for Lawler. If he's able to put together the right onslaught, I feel that he can get a TKO victory here, but we shall see. We shall see. And I also got Jack Della Maddalena by submission. I just feel that this guy's going to put on an onslaught of a performance. He's just been putting on for the whole entire Aussies, and honestly just the welterweight division. He has been putting a name for himself over there, and I feel he is definitely gonna be one of those guys that we're looking at a couple of years from now. Shavkat Rakhmonov, and obviously you got Leon Edwards over there and a couple of other guys, but Jack Della Maddalena, definitely a name to keep a watch for. And he's going to be facing off against Josiah Harrell. Josiah Harrell, another guy's got his hands full in his first ever UFC matchup, taking this on short notice. But Jack Della Maddalena, looking to keep that Aussie, as we were saying, a lot of Aussies fighting on this card over here in Vegas. They're all hopping on that same plane, so we will see how that fares. But now we are going to be going over to that episode between me and my guy Mark. Thank you guys for listening and hope you guys enjoy. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News today, and I'm out here in the Visalia area with a very distinguished guest in Marc De La Cruz of Vitruvian Martial Arts. This man has over 20 years of Jiu Jitsu experience, tons of experience in the cage. So distinguished to have you as a guest, my man. How you doing today, brother?
Pretty good. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, it was pretty cool getting to see you at the fights and everything, because honestly, I've got to interact with you before. You've trained Mariano Aldana, 559 fights, lightweight champion in grappling, and you train a ton of fighters that come out of this area. But I've never really got the chance to sit and kind of talk with you, stand face to face with you. And luckily at this last show in San Luis Obispo, we got to kind of talk a little bit more, and you actually got to say, you got to see some of my podcasts. I got to see that, and I was like, oh wow, this is somebody that's pretty tight, somebody I don't know, like that I never really envisioned interacting with outside of my life, just because I know you got your experience in this game, and you definitely game recognizes game, so it's pretty cool when you're able to come up to me and like, hey man, I like your work and everything. And it just, I was like, man, I got to get this guy on, got to talk to him, got to pick his brain a little bit, because you've definitely, you've had that experience, man. You've been in MMA and Jiu-Jitsu for about as long as anyone over here in the Central Valley. So give us the rundown of how you got into it. I know a little bit earlier we were talking, grew up a little bit rough and tough, some kids kind of started to pick on you, and that's kind of why you wanted to join. But what was it exactly about them picking on you? Was it just like bullying itself, or was it like verbal to where you're like, you know what, I want to fuck these kids up? Like,
no, I was always like small. I was always like a small guy growing up. I was like always like short, small. So I always felt like I needed to know or learn something so I could defend myself, because I always felt like I was vulnerable, But growing up, I just like I had told you before, like I was watching Bruce Lee and stuff like that. That got me interested initially. And then my mom actually put me in karate classes, like I had said, and pulled me out because I was having growing pains. And she took me and blamed the classes is why I was getting them. But at any rate, a few years or more years go by. My parents get divorced. I moved to Texas, moved back. I'm living in Porterville at the time, and I start Porterville High School, and I was getting bullied in high school. Like I had said, it wasn't like extreme being bullied. It was just like guys picking on me or pushing me around sometimes, and I just didn't like it. I was like, dude, I need to learn something or something. So I just turned to weights at the time and finished high school, and had just started. The UFC 1 had just come out my senior year. It was like 1993. Yeah. I graduated in 1993, so it was like the first UFC 1.
Got that 30-year reunion coming up there.
I know. And it was crazy is like I was into karate at the time because that's what I did like when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and the winner of the first UFC was Keith Hackney. He was like a karate guy, and I was all fuck yeah, it was like I knew karate was the shit, and then my buddy calls me over to watch the next one on his black box, and like this guy Horace Gracie pops into the scene, and I'm like, why is he wearing a gi? Like, what, I didn't even know what a gi was. I just like, why is he wearing that? And he came in
this pillow suit.
Yeah, he's wearing pajamas. Like, what's he wearing that for? And then he just like goes straight to the finals and goes straight to fighting Keith Hackney, and then armbars Keith Hackney hella fast from the guard. Yeah. And I was like, that's bullshit. I'm like, what is that?
You're like, this man's cheating.
Yeah. So me and my buddy at the time, like, we're like trying to like, let's see how this works. And he's trying to do it on me, and then like he kind of got his hits behind my elbow, and I'm like, oh, stop, that fucking hurts. So I was like, I actually think that's what he did, and I was like, this is jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu. I was like, I gotta learn that stuff, man. So the back of my mind, I kept thinking, I gotta learn. I gotta find a place where I can, learn that. And I just, I'd already signed up for the military, so I joined the military. I was in the military, and I thought for sure they'd know what I was talking about, but nobody even knew what it was. And back then, dude, it's funny because like now, like you can just look on your phone and like find a number to anything you want, like to business, any business, you can pull up the number on the phone. Yeah. Well, before they had phones like that, they didn't even have really cell phones like that. But I mean, only the rich people had bag phones. You know what I mean? So if you were looking up a number, you had to grab a phone book. So you went to the yellow pages of a phone book. That's how old I am, bro. I'm 48. So we'd go through like these. I went through all these yellow pages of the phone book of the city that's next to Fort Bragg where I was stationed at, and there was like an inch thick of yellow pages of martial arts schools. And I was going through this. I was like, yes, I'm going through all these karate, taekwondo. I mean, closest thing was judo, and then like maybe one judo school, and then there was like ninjutsu and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe it's called ninjutsu, not jujitsu. So I called the school up and I said, hey, you guys do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu? And they're like, what's that? And they're like, our art's the best to do. And then you got her the whole fucking song and dance, dude. Yeah, and I'm like, whatever, dude. And so I was like, I'll just wait till I get back to California. I'm sure someone over there is just. But I get out of the military, I come back here, and I was going to school, and I was going out a lot at night because I was kind of when I was younger. When I was your age, like 21, 22, I was like, I was partying a lot, dude. So just out of the military, so we were going out to nightclubs around here. At the time, it was called like Shag Nasties, and then they switched it to like Bogart and Lulu's, and I was going there and I watched like this guy break up a fight, and like he pushed these guys apart, and this one guy went to like put his hand on him, and he like arm dragged him, whipped him around, and slipped him into like a rear naked choke. And I was like, my friend was like, dude, did you see that?
You're like, oh.
I go, that's jiu-jitsu right there. And he's all, what? I go, he just did a rear naked choke. Because I knew what it was, you know what I mean? And so this guy, other guy behind me, he was like really big guy. He like hits me on the shoulder and he goes, hey. I looked over and it was like this big old dude, soon to be my new jiu-jitsu coach. He was like, what do you know about jiu-jitsu? And I was all, I didn't do anything. I'm like, what? I didn't. He's like, no, I know you didn't do anything. He's just like, you said that you just witnessed what that guy did. He said his technique was jiu-jitsu. How do you know that? Yeah. And I was like, because I want to learn it and I know what it is. And he goes, come on, come with me. Walks me outside. And he's like, you see that building right there? Which is pointing at Fugazi's. He's all, right to the left of that. He's all, there's a Mexican restaurant, and right next to that, there's a place called Vitruvian Martial Arts. He's all, my name's Mike Sir. I'm the bar manager, and I teach jiu-jitsu. He's all, there's class tomorrow at 5 if you want to come. I was like, fuck yeah. Started training, never stopped. To this day, I still train because of that. So I went in there and trained. I ended up becoming a bouncer at the bar, using what I learned right away. We'd learn like Osoto Gari, right? Yeah. To like Neon Belly to Kimura. And like we'd go and break up a fight, and then like I would do like a Soto Gari on a guy, Neon Belly, Kimura him, and tell him, hey, you gotta go. You know? And I'm like using technique I just trained live action like hours afterwards. So it was like military to me. It was like, dude, like you learn how to shoot targets and then you go to war, right? You learn how to like move properly, and you use the same technique you're using in like a real time situation. So I like ate it up, dude. I was like training my ass off 7 days a week because I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I have to be ready for everything. I try to learn as much as I could, So I was just on that. And then I learned that you could compete, and I was like, what?
Like, this is crazy.
I was like, so 6 months in, I started competing. My first competition, my black belt now is Daniel Camarillo, but he was my very first referee for my very first tournament at very first Pacific Martial Arts in Fresno. He was a purple belt back then, and I was a white belt, and he was the referee for my first match, and I got triangled 2 times in a row by 2 different guys. And then, so like, but when you compete, it's like that's the whole point, you make a mistake and you got to figure out, okay, I'm not gonna make that same mistake, right? So that's the thing is like, back then, like our instructors were blue belts. There was no black belts around. No, the best black belts now were back then they were like purples, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you were going to train at the black belt, you had to go train at Ralph Gracie's in San Francisco, or you had to go down to LA and go train with like Carlos. You had to go train with Carlos Gracie Jr. or Gustavo Machado or Hickson or Hegan or any of the Machado brothers or any of the Gracie brothers. Like that was it.
Yeah.
There was no other black belts.
I was gonna say even
Chinguiña wasn't even a black belt. Like he just got his black belt. Marcelo Cavalcante, he was a brown belt when I started. Like these guys are big names, dude. They were like just barely getting their black belts.
Did Luciano have his black belt back then?
No, I don't even think he was a black. Well, he might have been. Yeah. He might have just got it. I think he just got it.
He's been teaching a lot of these people around in the valley for a while too. A lot of people in the Central Valley got their black belt.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. But crazy, so our technique wasn't as good because we're learning from guys who learned from black belts who got their blue belts
who are still
learning phases. Yeah. So that's why the guys nowadays they get good so fast. So like a blue belt from now, like a current blue belt now, like a solid good blue belt, for instance, Mariano, solid blue belt, almost ready to get his purple. A blue belt at his level, back then, that's like brown belt level. That's almost, he's almost black belt back then, because now it's like what he's learning like shit that's so technical and thought out, and all the work's been done. You know what I mean? Like, it's been tried and tested. We know what works and we know what doesn't. And if we don't know, we won't find the answer. You know what I mean? So it's like, and now you have internet where you can look stuff up. So back then we didn't have internet. You couldn't go look up stuff. You couldn't look up how to pass the guard. You got to go find someone to teach you that. You know what I mean? And if you hope that they teach you the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Or you hope you watch the fight, like for example, like UFC 1 or whatever, and you're watching Gracie pass.
So the way I learned is I started watching Mundial VHS tapes.
Oh, damn.
The Mundial championships, they were only, the World Jiu-Jitsu championships were only held in Brazil, nowhere else. Now, they're held in Vegas and LA and everywhere else, and IBJFs took over, and so it's just different. You know what I mean? So the guys now, people who do jiu-jitsu now are going to be better than the guys who did jiu-jitsu back in the day at their level. It's so and so like this whole time, it's just like you as an instructor, like if you fall back or you don't take it seriously, or you just kind of let people, you teach them everything you know, but you don't try to keep learning and evolve your game, like you're gonna get your ass kicked.
You're gonna get taken over.
You're not just taken over, but you're just not gonna, you're not gonna get any better, and your students are gonna get better than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the worst. You know what I mean? So you gotta stay on top. As an instructor, you gotta stay on top of your game, man. Like you have to really know a lot of details on what you're doing and understand what works and what doesn't, and you have to keep evolving your game. You have to keep learning. You can't stop the learning curve, man. If you're going to stop teaching, you can get away with stop learning, but as a black belt, people are always going to ask you. If you still train, people are going to ask you questions whether you want to be an instructor or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as an active black belt, you have to keep learning. There's no stopping.
Yeah.
You have to keep learning. That's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that, because there's a lot of people that get their black belts and are like, all right, and then they just quit.
Yeah.
And then they don't want to train anymore because they don't want to get embarrassed when they come in and get tapped by a blue belt or a solid purple belt. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, dude, that's just how it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know enough to defend yourself on the street.
Yeah.
But
in the mat,
black belt on the mat, you might not be at that level anymore if you're not training anymore.
Yeah, especially too, like how you were saying, like guys like Jennah, or even, and I know we're using Jennah a lot as an example, but that's just strictly because we're obviously Vitruvian, but there's so many other grapplers out there that go gym to gym, open mat to open mat. You're almost ignorant, or you're almost dumb to think that these young bucks and these guys that are blue belts, purple belts, that are belts below these black belts aren't learning new tips and tricks from these other guys, to where they're going to come to you and they're going to be like, oh, you're going to be like, oh shit, you learned something new that I don't know, and that definitely does take into account, like how you're saying, for these black belts and these instructors to always stay on top of their game and to always keep on advancing themselves. And you do a really good job of that. I feel like you're constantly competing. You're always out there. I mean, you had a fight to win, a tournament win, like a couple, May 12th, correct?
Yeah, it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so how is it for you? Like, what are some things that you do to try and just constantly stay on top of the jiu-jitsu game? Because like how you said, nowadays it's almost like there's so many, so it's almost like a wealth of knowledge. There's so many places to learn now, so many people that have that wealth of knowledge, to where it's like, where do you go? Is there certain spots where you're like, this is where I like to go when it's when I'm trying to learn some new stuff?
I feel like in the last couple years I haven't really pushed forward a lot where I should be, but I'm always thinking, especially when I'm like rolling. When I'm rolling in here, sometimes I'll roll and I'll just wait until I get to a certain position to work something that I've been wanting to work on. And I don't tell anybody that, but like I'll literally like let someone pass my guard, take my back. Hey, if they catch me, they catch me. But there's a certain technique that I wanted to work on, And so for me, you also have you got to have a little bit of be able to be humble enough to like let people get to these positions where you have there's a good chance they might finish you. You know what I mean? But your defense has to be good enough to where you can stay in this position. But also is doing like seminars. Seminars was huge for me because I can't remember. I don't know how many seminars. I probably forgot more jiu-jitsu than I know, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But it's just like, seminars is huge. Doing seminars with people who just got their black belts. A lot of people think, oh, why would you do that? Like, dude, like they're learning new technique that's from a more modern time. They may have a different style. They may be doing things different. And I always tell my guys, like, we have quite a few black belts here that teach off and on. And I tell them, I said, hey, just because they're showing something, they're like, hey, we're going to do this. And you're like, oh, I know how to do that. Yeah. You don't ever think that way. Like, look at the way they're showing it, because they might do it a different way that might work better for your body type. Like, you might learn a new technique, or you might have been missing something that you didn't catch before. So you should always pay attention. Even like there's like a brown belt teaching, same thing. Like, they might do something different. Everybody has their own game. You know what I mean? Like, I got a brown belt in here right now. He loves the lapel game. Like, he plays lapel game from every position. You know what I mean? And it can be a little frustrating if you don't know how to react to it. You know what I mean? And that's good. Like, we need guys like that have different games like that. You know what I mean? And then like Mariano, he's got like a loose game, but a lot of flying technique too. Like, he's real, like, kind of reminds me a lot of like, Dan and Dave a little bit. But then we got like guys in here that are really good with judo. We got guys in here like solid wrestlers that they're going to take you down no matter what. You're not going to stop the take. Well, Art's solid, but we got another guy named Isaac in here. He's a solid wrestler. We have like Albert brings his son in here. He's a Division I wrestler. They come. I mean, we got wrestlers in here all the time, and you're not going to stop their takedowns unless you're also that high level wrestler. But I like look forward to that. I'm like, yeah, take me down because I want to be pushed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just good to have those kind of people in the gym. You know what I mean? Yeah, those aren't the people you should run from. You know what I mean? Those are the people. Those are the first ones you should train with. Yeah. Even if you do get caught or taken down or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, for me, that's exactly what, and I do a little bit of training here and there, but like when I look at somebody that's a killer, I'm looking for that guy on the mat, and that's not like, oh yeah, like I want to go kick his ass. It's just I want to get my ass kicked in a way, you know?
Yeah, you can learn from that, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, you can learn so much, especially from a sanctioned ass BD. It's different if you're out in the street.
Oh yeah. And, right. That's different.
Oh man, Mondo told me one time, Coach Mondo over at Trifecta MMA, and it was really like I took this advice and I ran with it. Because I always told him, like, you kick my ass, like, you kick my ass. He's like, yeah, like, but just imagine you're going to go out on the street and, like, someone else is going to try and do this to you, and you're going to be like, dude, I get my ass kicked all the time. This is nothing, you know? So I think of it like that, you know? It's like, okay, cool, you're getting your ass kicked in there to get, like, okay, cool, you get in a bad situation on the outside. You're like, dude, this is nothing. You're just going to stand up, you know? You're going to be like, what are you trying to do? Like, you trying to get me in top mount? Like, that shit was weak. Like, and that's almost kind of what you got to do as somebody that's new on those mats and, you know, somebody that's, like, maybe a little bit scared. You just got to go out there and kind of just do it. Would you say that's a little bit of the advice you would give to
you got to be used. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So like it's putting yourself in those positions so that you can stay calm. You know what I mean? And not freak out. You know, because when you freak out and you start like panicking is when you make more mistakes. You know, and that's what training is all about. You know, it's just putting yourself in a position that you know how to respond to and stay relaxed, so that when you get put in that position, you know, in real life, you know, you're not going to freak out, and you'll be able to do because the technique you do in here is going to translate right to self-defense. You know what I mean? Even if you're not even trained self-defense, you know, it could be anything. You know what I mean? Anything that you learn in here, you may find a way to use that technique in a self-defense situation. Now, I think it's important, and I push this in my school a lot, is that like if I show something, if I teach something, like I will generally tell them, my students, say, hey, look, like this is a technique that would only work in sport. Like for you to make this work in real life, like you're gonna have to be like really good at this. Okay, just so you understand that. Like I would not ever use this in the street. Okay, and then I'll show them something. I'll be like, hey, this is effective in real life. This is effective right here on the mats in jiu-jitsu. This is also very effective in MMA. This is effective across the board. So make sure you really get a good grasp of this concept right here, this technique, because you can use this across the board. Yeah. So I always make sure that my people know the difference. Otherwise, they just think that everything I show them is, this is I can use this in the street. Yeah. Like, no, don't pull guard in the street, bro. Yeah. Like, don't land on your butt in the street, dude. That's the worst place to be. That's right. You're only going to use the guard if someone puts you there. Yeah.
That's
You know
like
what I
the
mean? And then
last
you're
case
gonna,
scenario.
yeah, and you're gonna use it to get on top. You know, I wouldn't even try to submit from my back necessarily. You know, I would just try to
just pick you up
and slam you. Yeah. Even if you hook their leg, like you're still gonna take some damage.
Go
Like
against the back, yeah.
you don't know, man.
Go
like
against the back of a van if you're out in the street.
yeah,
like,
you know, you never know, man. Just use the guard to get on top. Get on top, stay on top. You know what I mean? That's just especially how it should be. But yeah, I always make sure that all my guys they understand, the difference between what a sport technique is in jiu-jitsu and what a self-defense move is, and I don't really teach guard pulling here. I will do it every once in a while just because I want my guys to understand how to react to it.
Yeah.
And I'll attack them quickly from the guard. Sometimes, but and I show them. I say, hey, this is how you pull guard, but you should only do this on the last resort.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it in the street, and you only do it on last resort in a tournament. If your time's clicking off and you're still standing and no one can get a takedown, then just fucking pull guard. Yeah. That's fine. But don't voluntarily pull guard out the gate because
you're already putting yourself in a bad spot.
Right, and that's why I went to lengths to make sure that we had a judo program, and so we have a pretty good judo instructor. His name's Matt Fisher, and he was an instructor out of Visalia Judo Club. So he teaches.
So awesome.
So he teaches here Thursday nights, and then Dan comes. Once a month when he comes, he usually teaches a takedown or something. So, and then I usually teach takedowns too here and there. I'm not super good at takedowns, but I feel like I have enough knowledge in judo and basic wrestling to be to work for myself. So I've taken down high level judo guys plenty of times. I've got to I even got to do randori, which is stand up judo randori with Rahid Ferguson. Okay. He's an Olympic silver medalist, and I was able to get a takedown on him. He might have been a little tired. I don't know.
Maybe he was giving me a little.
Who knows? I don't know. But I was stoked. For the fact I could even get a takedown on him.
Hell yeah.
But Dan's a whole nother level. I don't even know if I've ever taken Dan down. Maybe once. I don't know.
Dan's got an interesting style too, because like how you said, he's got those crazy kind of like moves to where he can pull those flying arm bars and stuff. But he's also got that. Well,
him and his brother, they were doing judo since they could breathe, dude. Like they were literally.
And he's also got that judo style where he's got the throws, he's got all those like in his arsenal. I feel like his arsenal goes a lot more deeper than a lot of other black belts, just because he's got that ability to kind of hop between that. Because a lot of guys don't have that experience, like how you were saying in the judo.
I've watched him finish black belts in tournament in less than 8 seconds.
Yeah,
with armbar, and they didn't even see it coming. They had no idea. You know what I mean?
It's so crazy because, and then especially when you're up on that top level, it's like how quickly they're able to hide that they're putting you in an armbar. It's like how you said 8 seconds. Like any other person, you're just like, how the hell did that happen? But obviously you're watching like, oh yeah, he did start off with this, did this. But even me, somebody that watches MMA a good amount, I'm probably going to be a little bit lost, So it just goes to show you how high level that it can get, especially in jiu-jitsu. And I always tell people, especially when I talk to guys that are on the mats or whatever, I'm like, dude, if you learn the takedown game and you learn how to get guys to the ground, you learn to dominate from the top position, you are already so much better than 60% of guys at jiu-jitsu gyms, because a lot of these gyms do teach to pull guard, do teach it's okay, it's but it's at the same time, are you really gonna be pulling guard in a street fight? Are you really going to be pulling guard?
I think pulling guard is a good way to expand a way to grapple.
Yes. Yes.
It's a safe way to get to the mat if you're on the mat. It should not be done in the street.
Safe way to extend your life in the matchup.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So if that's all you have, then that's what you're forced to do.
Fighting for your life.
Yeah, that's why that's why we have a judo program. That's why I teach takedowns. That's why my black belts teach takedowns, because we want our guys to be able to do takedowns, get on top, and stay on top. And then, because it's important. It's important. It's like learning. It's just like if they have a wrestling base, I always tell them, I'm like, hey man, you got half the skill you need right now just off wrestling.
Yeah, you really do. You got already half of the things.
Yeah, you've got a good base and you know how to do takedowns, and that's going to take you a long ways. But now you just got to learn how to
piss off a lot of people.
And then once a person like that learns how to use the guard, then you're in trouble.
It gets really dangerous, especially too once they start playing with the guard and once they start learning.
I make all my wrestlers. What's funny is I make my wrestlers, when I know that they're good wrestlers, I'll tell them, hey, I want you to start in the guard.
Oh,
Start with
yeah.
people in your guard.
Yeah, challenge.
Because I already know you're going to get takedown.
Yeah.
How's that going to help you? Let's put you in a position that you're not good at. Let's start working there.
You definitely got. And there was another wrestler when you were talking about that I thought of right away because I seen the Visalia Times Delta kind of posted an article about them. Jennah Creason.
Oh, Creason, yeah.
So
Jennah.
how has it been seeing her development as a mixed martial artist? Because I'm pretty sure you've started in this game you've been in this game forever, as we've been saying. You know, you've seen from people go from white belts to black belts, and you're like, damn, like that development. How is it seeing somebody like her who's so dedicated to not only jiu-jitsu, to judo, but
she has a lot of coaches. So she has a striking coach at POW. She has a karate coach. She had a Muay Thai coach. She has her high school wrestling coach. She used to have a wrestling coach through us, and I've always been her jiu-jitsu coach.
Yes.
Since she was probably like 8 years old.
Yeah,
and so
for a while.
Yeah, and watching her get to the level she's at now is pretty cool. Like watching her get strong. But here's something what's crazy. When I knew that she was going to be something special is when I saw her eating habits, because you go to 8-year-old and they're in between training sessions, like maybe they are doing one class then doing another. They're going to go for maybe if you're lucky, they'll get a Gatorade and a bag of chips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe a granola bar.
Maybe
a granola bar.
But this young lady had a Tupperware with raw carrots, cauliflower, and broccoli, and that was her snack between training sessions. And I'm like, is that your food? She's like, yeah, I'm just having healthy snacks. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, when I was her age, I wouldn't even touch that shit.
Yeah, I don't. I'm damn near 21 years old. You will never see me.
I was like, what?
Shit on a bowl of carrots or whatever. And that just goes to show that mental, like.
And she always has been like, if you give her some advice on the mat, she's always like, yes, coach. She doesn't argue. She doesn't doubt you.
Yeah.
She has complete faith in her coaches, which makes her coaches feel like, okay, she trusts me.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I give her exact, perfect information. She's gonna, because of her like loyalty and expectations, like it makes you want to be a better coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I believe she's pretty much undefeated in jiu-jitsu so far. And I don't think she's ever really. She may have lost one match ever in jiu-jitsu.
By points, maybe.
I don't remember, man. To be honest with you, but I don't. She's always won. I mean, especially as a blue belt. She got her blue belt recently, and she won. She's undefeated at a blue belt.
Yeah.
You know, so.
No, and so for you, would you say that like having these students, you know, obviously you've had Yano, you've had, I mean, even guys like that are older. Does it speak to you as a coach, or do you feel like it's just part of the job? Because I mean, I know that as a coach, obviously your job is always, when you get somebody on the mats, your eventual goal is like, okay, I want them to get to the highest level that they can achieve.
Right, whatever their goal is. You know, for Jennah, just to backtrack on that real quick, like she's taken every level to the highest level. Like her next step is taking her jiu-jitsu to a next level, because she already did that with wrestling. She went to CIF and won state. I think it was like, I don't know what the number is, like 49 matches, 47 pins or something close to that. I don't know what it was. Then she's now like Olympic pro boxing youth team.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Won nationals at her age and level. And then she got to spar with Julia Pena's sparring partner and did, from what I heard, excellent against her. And she's basically at that point now where she's ready to do MMA. She's almost at that age. So she's got like 6 months before she's old enough to fight in the pro league. So she's basically going to have to do one amateur fight, but I don't know who's going to fight her. We were looking really forward to having her fight Jocko's daughter, because I know she's like really tough. Yes. And I thought that would have been such a great match for Jennah. Unfortunately, they pulled out, and it's really unfortunate. I think that would have been, you know,
awesome.
It would have been awesome. It was a great matchup. You know, it's just sad that they pulled out, you know, and I don't even know if it was like legit pullout or not, but whatever.
I think that damn near would have been probably one of the matchups of the night.
Oh, it would have been awesome.
It would have been so good.
And at least I knew it would have pushed Jennah to another level on her jiu-jitsu. But, you know, at the same time, maybe they were worried that Jennah has such great wrestling. They were worried that they were going to get beat. And so maybe they didn't want us to make a name on them. I don't know, because from what I heard, she said she was sick. You know, I'm not bad-mouthing anybody, but, you know, I did follow her on Instagram, and she was posting pictures of her and her friends out, like, 2 days later, and you know,
like,
all dressed up.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're really that sick, you know. But no, whatever, you know. You know, she's gonna run into that kind of stuff where people are gonna be turning her down because of her accolades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
and I'll tell you right now, in MMA, it's gonna be hard. She's gonna be a hard one to beat in MMA because you're not gonna outbox her.
Yeah, she's got that grappling.
You're not gonna. Yeah, you're not gonna out wrestle her. You know, and if you do out wrestle her, her jiu-jitsu is pretty damn good. You know what I mean? And you know, and she knows how to go in and out like a karate person too, kind of like Lyoto Machida was really. He was really successful using that, snapping in and out, being in and out of the pocket. So she knows how to do that too. So she's very, 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 very well rounded at this point, dude. And you know, if she gets someone who's a better wrestler, she'll keep it standing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then she'll just outbox them.
She'll outbox them.
If she gets a better boxer, then she'll just take them down. You know what I mean? So she's got it all. She's got all the tools, man. But she does need to lift her. She needs to take her jiu-jitsu to the next level. That's why I'm trying to get her to start doing some more jiu-jitsu tournaments. So that's what this match was going to kind of help me see where she's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was really. I was a little upset about it, to be honest with you, and I was disappointed. Yeah. You know that she could do it. You know, and she was already in Kettleman before she found out the opponent pulled out. So she already made half the drive. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it kind of sucks. Yeah.
Anyhow. No, and exactly like how you were saying, for people to kind of back out of that, I always find, for me, I find it funny because it's like this is a girl that hasn't even graduated high school yet. Like, mind you, we're talking about this girl and she hasn't graduated high school yet. Sorry, Siri was trying to talk to me, and I find it crazy too because my uncle, he actually runs the PAL program, Arturo Villarreal, and he has been talking about Jennah forever. He has been damn near since she was a little girl saying, yeah, this girl's going to be it, this girl's going to be it. And I would always kind of hear little rumblings, you know, and then eventually, obviously, I got into the MMA scene, and now seeing her and seeing the accolades that she has acquired.
She's even working for Camo to learn the inside operations of the MMA scene, not just learning the fighting side. So she's learning everything. She's not just a fighter. She's she's trying to learn every part of it. So she comes in with a lot of knowledge, not just in fighting, but how the systems work. How the system works. So I think that I commend her on that. I was so proud of her when she decided she wanted to do that, and that was like
just as smart too, because as an amateur fighter, I feel like a lot of these guys, like, even though you would think they know the rules going into these fights, they don't know the rules. And it's crazy because you're like, how do you not know the rules going into your own damn fight? But Jennah's going to already have that advantage played out for her. She's not only going to have the camera rules, but she's talking to people that are in CSAC. She's talking to people that have been to those top levels. So she was already
like being a supervisor. I don't know if she was supervisor, but she was taking a supervisor role with other people that were working in camo who were new.
Yeah.
Because she did all the homework and she knew everything, and so she was like running a little bit of the show over there. And I was like, wow. I was super proud of her for doing that. So yeah, she's. I guarantee you, I'll bet money on it. She'll be in the big show.
No, I honestly would. I would not want to bet my money against that, man.
Yeah.
I think pretty soon we're gonna see some Dana White Contender Series, some something out of her USA Boxing. Cause she has so many outlets too. Sorry to interrupt you. She has so many outlets she could go into. She could not only hit up the MMA world, which obviously it would be a dream for people like us that love to see mixed martial arts. that love to see people intertwine it all together. But she also has that boxing pedigree that we were talking about in the USA boxing scene, obviously competing against all these high-level boxers all around the country, and obviously they're bringing in people that are international as well, you know? So I find it crazy, too. She could just as easily go down that pro route like how Richard Torres went, or how a lot of these other boxers. So she has such a bright future, and I find it, too, crazy that you've been a part of that, you know? You've been a part of a lot of these mixed martial artist journeys, man, and you've also had your own journey as well, which is just as crazy to think. You're helping all these people with all the things that you've had in your past, you know, fighting through your mixed martial arts career and all that, because I know definitely on the aftermath of that, it can be pretty tough, you know, waking up sometimes you're like, damn, I'm a little bit sore than usual, or, you know, but you're coming out here every single day and you're educating these people, man. I'm pretty sure that means not only a huge amount to them, but to their parents, you know, because these people, you're almost like a dad to them, you know, you're teaching them these things that not only their parents can never teach them, but things that they'll probably never even learn once they get to another gym or once they get to another spot, because your teachings are very, you know, they're submit to you, and I tell that to every coach. You know, it's like each coach has their own style, but for you even more so. You know, because how you said you're never gonna teach a guy like, oh yeah, like you can apply this to all platforms, because that's something a lot of these gyms do. They don't care enough to do that, you know. So I just want to give you your commendments on that for making sure that these students are prepared for whatever asset they want to go into.
I think for me it's because I got bullied in high school, so I wanted to know what would work in the street.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went to the Army. I did 2 tours in the military. So that also, like,
how was that?
So I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, and I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina for 3 years. So I went in right out of high school, 1994 when I went in, and then I got out in 97. I re-enlisted National Guard here in Visalia. And then I got called back to active duty after the September 11th attacks in 2002. So then I went to in process in Fort Lewis, Washington, and I went back into active Army there. And then I was guarding a chemical weapons depot in Umatilla, Oregon. So I guarded a biological chemical weapons depot where they stored, at the time, 70% of the nation's biological chemical weapons.
Yeah.
So then I was like basically guarding that shit for like almost a year.
Yeah.
But over there, I didn't even stop doing jiu-jitsu there. I was like a corporal at the time, so I was like able to get some of the other NCOs to okay a program and let me use their gym there and lay out mats and teach. And I was teaching jiu-jitsu over there I was a blue belt, and I was over there teaching jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. So we got gis and stuff, and then
that's so awesome.
Yeah, dude. So I was teaching a program over there, you know, and so I just took it with me everywhere I went, because I didn't want to stop learning, man. I was like, there's no way these guys are learning right now. I can't stop learning. I got to keep going, you know. So I was just bringing guys in constantly, you know, trying to get as many training partners as I could get.
Yeah, and that's kind of creative too, to go through that military route, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys, like how you were saying, through your own background, they had that bullying, you know, they had that, so they probably were in their own probably jiu-jitsu programs, own wrestling programs back home. So for them to see like a guy, hey man, I'm starting this jiu-jitsu thing, come in the mat, they're probably like feeling a little refreshed, like, oh shit, like this is something.
And we had to do it on our off time, dude. Mind you, we're doing like 12-hour watches, dude. Like these guys, we're getting off a watch, dude. We don't want to fucking go do some more shit. We want to go sleep, dude.
You want to go sleep,
We want to go sleep. So for these guys to come out, you know, it wasn't a lot. It's like maybe 3 or 4 guys. Yeah, you know, for these guys to like take their off time and come over here and then just learn some grappling real quick, and then, you know, go eat some chow, then, you know, go sleep, or maybe then the day before we go back on watch and go back and train again a little bit, you know, and then I get them to train a little bit of weights with me too, you know. Nice. So it was like, you know, I was just, you know, I was a leader at the point because I was a corporal, so I was kind of like a team leader. So, you know, I don't know if they felt like they had to, but, you know, I just told them, I said, this is what I would recommend for you guys to do. You guys should really learn this stuff, you know, to help you in the future. You never know. You know, you want to be able to, you know, we're not always going to be fighting as a team. Like, you're going to be by yourself one day and someone's going to try to fucking attack you or take your money or take your wallet. Like, and they don't have a gun, then if they don't have a gun, then you better be able to defend yourself.
Or hurt your family. It's like,
you never know. Yeah, exactly. So
that's a big reason why I got into it too, as corny as it all sounds, is like, you never know who you're going to be with and what's going to happen, you know. And like for someone like my mom or someone like my grandma, like I could never imagine being out in public with them and them having to do that, you know. It's like, I know, okay, like maybe they won't, you know, but it's like I kind of teach them a little bit of stuff to where it's like, hey, if somebody is trying to do something to you, you at least could, you know, fight a little bit more longer than what you would have before, you know. And that's like the biggest emphasis is, you at the end of the day, it's a fight for your life, you know. You gotta remember that too. And like that's why I really want to emphasize, like, especially all the jiu-jitsu talk we had, because it really is like, that's why I love the sport, you know, and love MMA, because it really does push you to a different type of length, push you to a different type of mental stratosphere than any other sport does, you know. You can never replicate what MMA match will do for you or what a jiu-jitsu match will do for you in terms of, I feel like, adrenaline, and in terms of just mental warfare, because there's just so much that goes on that people really don't have any idea, like, you know, watching wise, unless you're really into the sport.
Right.
And you know, it's crazy too that you got all these people in the military after these 12-hour shifts. Like that, I'm still trying to comprehend that, because I get out after an 8-hour shift, I'm fucking exhausted. I'm like, dude, you know, you're having to do a job that's exhausting too. You're having to constantly watch over stuff, and you know, I've had friends that work in the military, and they tell me any little thing that goes
especially like, you know, some of those instances, like it's like fucking 22 degrees outside.
Yeah.
So you're fucking shivering your ass off. So
you just have to stand there.
yeah, and you're burning through energy while you're just standing there. You know what I mean? And you can't go anywhere. You have to stay there. You know what I mean? And fuck, like you have a heater half the time you don't.
And if anything bad happens, like in the slightest, if it's like, oh, there's somebody walking in the back end, go check up on that. It's like you got to go check up on that shit. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just it was never easy. There was always. Especially like infantry, if it's a different job, if you're like a cook, I mean, it's some hard work, but whatever, but it's not going to be like infantry where they're testing your body, what you can physically do and your mental toughness. You know what I mean? They want to, we're doing 25-mile road marches every quarter, and you're walking from sun up to sundown with like, anywhere between 30 and 60 pounds, and somehow I always ended up with the most heavy shit. I don't know why. They always get shit. They always look at you. I don't know. Like, he looks like he can carry. It was horrible, dude. I wasn't even a big guy back then. I was like 155 pounds. So it wasn't like I was swole or nothing, I had a little bit of muscle on me, but I wasn't some big guy. Yeah, I was at RTO for like a year, which is a radio telephone operator. And so we'd go on these road marches, Sorry to get off subject, but it's just kind of funny. This is kind of funny. We do these road marches, we do we do a road march all the time, and like anywhere between 6 and 12 miles, no big deal, right? And we go, hey, no packs today, and everyone's like, yay! I'm like, fuck you guys, because I still have to carry a radio. Radio is 35 pounds. Yeah. The fucking battery in there makes it 40 pounds. Then I have to carry an extra battery. That's 45 fucking pounds, and then they'll be like, the 60 gunner's sick. De La Cruz, you carry the 60 gun. I go, I'm carrying the radio. Just carry the 60 gun too. I'm like, it's 23 fucking pounds. Now you're weighing me down with 70 fucking pounds. The guy next to me has a fucking 6-pound LCE and a fucking 8-pound machine M16.
Yeah. And you're like, so where does this weight differential?
What the fuck, dude? Right? Oh, dude. But then, but what's funny is like I was being tested, constantly tested, and I was like, you know what? What if this was a real fight and I have to carry this shit? I want to know that I can do this, even though everyone else has a lighter load. Yeah. I want to know that I can do this. And you know what? Fuck them. If they think I can't do this and they're trying to break me, I ain't breaking. I'm gonna fucking do it. Yeah. So I would fucking do it. I'll say, I got it. Fuck it. I got it. And I go, you guys want me to carry any more fucking shit? And they'd be like, fuck, dude, and it made me turn hardcore. They turned me fucking hardcore when I was in there. And then finally, when I was almost out of the military, I think it was like I was about to ETS, about to get out, man. We're doing this last road march, And they're like, hey, we got a new RTO. The LT has a new RTO. I'm like, fuck, good here, man. Here's your RTO. Showed them how to use it. Showed them how to fill it with the ANCD. Yeah. Showed them all the shit. Gave them the stuff. Set them up. And then they gave me a fucking M16. I'm like, this is fucking light, dude. I'm like, I got no backpack. Yeah. I'm like, hell yeah. So I'm just like chilling, right? Well, this poor RTO, he came from an administrative office. Yeah. You know what I mean? So he wasn't doing the PT like we do. Yeah, and he was short, very short-legged. So he was taking like all these steps just to keep up with everyone, because we learned to take long strides when we walk. Yeah, because you guys are all experienced doing that shit. He's new. He's new and he's short, so he's already at a disadvantage. So he's 2 disadvantages in. Short, new, at 3, and he's not physically able. So we weren't even like a mile in, dude. And he's like the LT is trying to talk on the phone, and as the cord goes like 6 feet, he can't even stay up the LT. He's like pulling the LT back, and LT's looking at me, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you can't carry that? He's like, I'm trying. He's like almost crying, man. I felt bad, dude. And I was like, fuck. I almost felt like kind of hiding in the back so they don't see me. And I was like, fuck, dude. And he goes, De La Cruz, where you at? Get your ass up here. And I was like, fuck, man, give me that shit. Fuck, put it back on again. Fucking marching with the LT. I couldn't get a break from it, dude. It wouldn't leave me alone, dude. But anyhow, yeah, man. So that was just some funny shit. It just kind of reminded me of that. But yeah, dude, it's just, that's the kind of mental toughness you have to like kind of have in some cases when you get into these tournaments or you're training for like a fight and stuff like that. That's not the attitude you need or the mental toughness you need to get in here and train to learn it. But if you're gonna compete and you want to compete at a higher level, you do have to have that kind of mental toughness, dude. You have to. It's a requirement, man. And I feel like I can help my guys acquire that, because I've been there. And so you just have to kind of get the right frame of mind. But anyhow.
No, that's
There goes that.
absolutely crazy too. Because I mean, speaking from my own experience and doing, obviously having carry weight. Like I mean, you see me come in with all my shit. I got tons of bags, and that shit's heavy. I'm like, fuck. And I have to sometimes walk to the shows. The parking's all the way, and I'm like, fuck, bro, I feel tired as fuck. I can't even imagine doing 25 miles. Like 30 pounds on, 60 pounds on. Like, that's fucking. That just goes to show these military people mentally are just somewhat built different, and I feel like that's why a lot of these guys too that end up in the services that go into MMA, it's just so fucking like they're like, it's almost like they think this shit's like not easy, but it's a little bit more, it's like tampered down. Like, okay, cool, like my life isn't genuinely at risk here. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, okay, cool.
Those guys tend to be very, very tough.
Yes.
Tough. They may not be the best, but they definitely are always going to be super tough, dude. The guys who have some military background, especially in like, those Navy SEAL, infantry, Ranger, SF, fucking Force Recon, any of those kind of, because all the services have like the harder core type infantry style guys, you know what I mean? And it's just, they're just built different, man, Yeah.
No, and that's definitely, it's proven through you as well. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about your MMA career as well, because I know that was a big part of eventually why you kind of wanted to open this gym over here in Visalia and kind of get more athletes into, because you got to showcase your skills in that octagon and do your thing. So tell us how you got into the cage. How did mixed martial arts and getting into the cage? Because I know you obviously talked about your interest in UFC 1 and doing, and competing, but how did it come in fruitate into eventually hopping into the cage so many years ago in 2006, correct? 2007?
Yeah, so I started my first fight was 2007. Yeah, I think my first fight was 2007. Actually, I fought for 2 years. I fought probably every 3 months for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's.
So I want to say, if my math is correct, so that was like 8 fights, eight pro fights. The reason why I did it, I didn't do it because I feel like. I did it for some people have different reasons. Some people do it because they just want to do it because they think it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not why I did it. I did it because I wanted to see if what I've learned so far, and this is a long time ago, obviously. It's not like, I'm going to go start fighting MMA and I'm going to get a good matchup for my style, for my experience. So that's not how we got matched up back in the day.
Yeah.
You might be fighting a pro boxer. You might be fighting a Division I wrestler. You don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You don't know. There's no way for you to know because you really couldn't look shit up. Again, it was like internet was in its baby infancy. So, dial up took like fucking 20 seconds just to get anything up on that. You know what I mean? Maybe, and then another 20 seconds to look anything up, and there wasn't much information on there. So, and there wasn't all these sites. I mean, MySpace hadn't even come out yet. So it was like there wasn't like a lot of internet sites to look shit up. So you couldn't really look anybody up. But at any rate, I went in. I started MMA because I just got my blue belt, and I felt fairly confident. I felt pretty good about my skills, and I thought, I want to do this in real life. I want to do this. I want to try. I don't want to cause a fight or start a fight anywhere. It's not why I did this, but I would like to compete in an MMA fight and see if I can make my jiu-jitsu work.
Mm-hmm. And see how you could kind of combine everything.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and so at the time I had already, Doug Marshall had just fought. He just fought his first one. He'd fought LeVar Johnson.
Yeah.
It was his first fight. And I was already out there. I would help cornering him. We walked him out and stuff. And I didn't really corner him, but I walked out with him. We're in the trailer, And then Mike Sir had fought Rafael Del Rio. And I was in the back with him and walked him out. So I thought that was like really cool too. And I was like, okay, so I have a pretty good idea of what's expected and what's going to happen, And I was like, but I'm a grappler. I don't have any striking whatsoever, right? And so I had to learn some striking. And I had done a little bit with Chino Esparza. And he had shown me how to do Muay Thai kicks, and he showed me how to do elbows and a basic 1-2, and he was showing me how to do clinch and knees, and he kind of showed me a pretty good amount of information.
Pretty good array of...
Yeah. This is like in 2000. This was probably 2002.
Yeah.
Me and Chino were training, and we would do, and it was funny because my buddy just put up this video of us jiu-jitsu guys trying to use jiu-jitsu against the Muay Thai guys, and they had boxing gloves on, and they're trying to beat us up, and we're trying to take them down.
Oh shit!
And so we used to train like that all the time. Like we already did that, so I was used to that. I was like, I already know what I need to do. I already know that I need to close distance, and I'm not going to close my distance before they try to punch me. So they have to strike. They have to come in close enough to hit me. Yeah. So when they come in, I come in.
Yeah.
So it's just timing, right? And even to this day, you can still kind of use that same concept. So I was like, okay, well, my thought was, you know what? And this was my whole game plan for my whole MMA career. So I'm going to let you in on little secrets here. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to learn how to like throw a couple punches, but my main thing is I'm going to learn how to kick.
Yeah.
Because I figure if they catch my kick and put me on the ground, fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
But if they don't catch my kick, I'm going to beat the shit out of someone with just kicks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
kick the shit out.
Yeah, because I already felt comfortable with kicking kind of naturally after Chino had shown me how to pivot correctly. I turned my hips over, how to bring the leg up and come down at an angle, how to do knees and stuff. And I felt pretty confident with elbows too. And I was like, I'm just going to learn how to kick even better. I'm going to learn all the kind of kicks, So I wanted to learn like the side knife, the fucking spinning heel kick, the high kick, low kick, inside low kick, the high kick, switch kick, like teeps,
teeps.
So I was like learning all that shit. So I was training at, I left, because when I first started training, I was training at Djibouti, and then Djibouti closed down, and we opened another one on Ben Maddox, and then that one, we had another Thai instructor because Chino had left and he had started King's Knights over in Tulare. So then we had a guy named Robert Murillo who had trained with some Muay Thai guys. I forget what Muay Thai system that was. It's like USA Muay Thai or something. I don't remember what it was. But so he called his Red Bull Muay Thai, and he was teaching there at the new Djibouti. Then that closed down, and then a guy named Rocky Molina had opened Rock Solid, and then Tom Owens opened the Box. And so we started training all at the Box, and then that's when Darren Chris started showing up, and then some of these other fighters started showing up and stuff. And that was like third generation. That was like third generation of fighters. And Doug had already fought his first one. Mike had already fought his first one. And then Darren and some other guys, they're getting ready to start fighting. And I was like, yeah, I want to fucking start fighting too. You know what I mean? I want to test mine, But then Tom Knox had opened up Elite. He had just got his black belt. I was still a blue belt, but he had just got his black and opened up Elite. And so I left and I went to Exeter because a buddy of mine told me about some place in Exeter that had all this mat space and a boxing ring and all this stuff. And I was like, what? So I went over there and they didn't have any programs besides kickboxing and karate, but they had like a guy that knew a little bit of jiu-jitsu. So I showed up and they made me roll with them. You know what I mean? It was like Chris Tangonan, who's a black belt under Elite now. And I rolled with him a little bit and I was like, oh yeah, he's pretty good. And they asked me, hey, do you want to teach? And I was like, well, I can. I don't know. I'm a blue belt, And so I was like, I'm under Chinguiña. And so then I took him over to Chinguiña, and then he started training under Chinguiña, and I got my purple belt. Still couldn't win a tournament to save my life. I had a purple belt. Still couldn't win a tournament. And then, before I got my purple belt, though, I wanted to fight. So I was like, you know what? I want to start fighting. Yeah. So I was like, hey, Scott, like, I need to learn how to kick. And I know how to kick already, but I need you to show me some like karate style kicks. You know what I mean? Because he was like a karate guy. So I started doing all these kicks and stuff. So, and then I had some wrestlers there, like Joseph Morales was my teammate over there. He was a wrestler from Exeter, and he came in and he helped me with my wrestling a little bit. Yeah. And then David De La Cruz came out there. This guy named Garrett Shinaki came out there, and then Joe Soto would come out there, and then some big names, Paul Estrada. These guys would come over there. Even Tom Knox would come over there, and it would cross train with us too. Because well, we were still pretty good friends at that point. I don't think he ever got really upset with me at all until I opened a gym in Visalia, like down the street from his. It wasn't on purpose. It was just I had an opportunity and I wanted to do it. Yeah, and then that's when some animosity took place. But anyway, a lot of the guys that were under me as white belts, they all went to Elite when I moved from Exeter to Visalia. Right before I moved here to open a gym. When he opened his, they all wanted to leave Exeter, So, there was probably 4 of his black belts that were trained with me all left and got their black belts through him, You know what I mean? Just because he had a black belt already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just getting my purple.
You were just,
okay. Even though we were both, white belts together.
Mm-hmm.
So, at any rate, I did my first fight, dude, and I was fighting this guy, which is actually the guy in that picture right there.
Oh, damn.
That was my first fight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So, I came in and we squared up, and I threw in an outside leg kick with everything I had, just as hard as I could do it. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, I'm taking this guy's leg out from underneath him. Sure enough, took his leg out from underneath him. He wasn't ready. He didn't check or anything. So when you don't check a kick and someone hits your leg super hard enough, you're gonna land on your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't check it. And
especially if you hit that little tendon.
He fell on his ass, dude, and he went to stand up. He didn't know how to stand in base, so he put his hands behind him to stand up. And his neck was coming forward, and my first instinct was kick or grab.
Yeah.
And I was like, grab. So I just jumped on his neck and flew into a guillotine.
Yeah.
And I was like, my next step from here is my hip bump sweep when he pulls his head out. He's pulling his head out. He's pulling his head out. He's pulling his head out. He pulled his head out. Hip bump sweeped him over. Classic. Drug him over to my corner and just commenced the beatdown from there. And it was over. It was like 58-second fight. Over. Right? And I was like, and I got paid $400. I was like, that was easy. I was like, fuck yeah, I like MMA, right?
Yeah, you're like, this
so,
is
yeah. So then my second fight, I fight a guy named Mario Rivera, who I tried to get another fight with after this because he cheated. And the way he cheated is, you know how like nowadays how they check?
Yeah.
Like when you come out to the cage,
check your gloves.
they rub their hands across your arms.
Yeah.
And then they go down your body. Do you know why they do that?
I kind of have an idea, but explain.
They're looking for lubricants.
Oh, so he was lubed up, you think?
He was lubed up because Steve Ramirez, at the time, was also training with us over there. He went to his warm-up tent, and there was under his chair there was a bottle of cocoa butter lotion. You don't put lotion on before a fight, because shit comes out of your pores. Comes out of your pores, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, smell your gloves. I'm like, dude, why? He's like, was he slippery? I go, dude, I don't give a fuck, dude, because he knocked me out.
Yeah.
I had an armbar on him, and he stood up because the way the fight started, we came out, he shot on me. And I like sprawled and lifted him, put him against the cage, and I felt really confident. I went for a takedown, and I fucking slipped. I couldn't hang on to him.
Yeah.
And I fell on the ground, and I'm like, he was like slippery, and I couldn't hang on to him.
Man, this guy's
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And so he just fell into my guard and on top of me, and I closed my guard. I was like, fuck it, right into armbar.
Yeah.
And he just stood up, and I just fell off his arm, and he jumped over my guard, boom, and busted my nose, and I was unconscious.
Oh, damn.
And so they woke me up with smelling salts. This is my second fight.
Yeah.
And, I had all this fucking nasty shit on my arms and stuff. And Steve's all, smell your arms, And Steve Ramirez. He's actually one of the brown belts here now. He trains.
Yeah, he's the Catalyst Sports Performance, does all the camo.
Yeah.
He is definitely the one to know if someone's rubbing some lotion on their arms.
So he's like, did he smell your arms? I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, dude, look, did it smell like this? And I'm like, yeah, it smells like fucking cocoa butter. And he's like, dude, he lotioned up. He fucking cheated, dude. You had him in a full-on armbar, dude. I've seen you finish people in armbars all the time. He just stood up and he fell off his arm. Damn. And your takedown, you couldn't get your takedown because you couldn't hang on to him because he's slipping. I go, motherfucker cheated. I was so mad, dude. Yeah. And so I called him out. I wanted to fight him again, dude. If you're listening to this, I still want to fight you. So...
You're like, we'll tell 559 to get a pro license. I'd be pretty mad about that shit too. Because at the end of the day, you're going into something training, and you're both having that mindset of like, okay, cool, we're not going to pull this shit.
So I was like, fuck that, I got to go fight again. I was hooked, dude. I was like, no, I'm going to go back in there. And then now, like literally like 6 months later, they're fucking all the fights now, they're all checking for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh great, it had to happen to me for it to get checked on, and that.
Do you think you were one of the...
I know I would have won that fight.
But do you feel like you were one of the like cases that they looked at and were like, oh yeah, we got to start?
Well, I tried to appeal it.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe.
Damn, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Dude, so I don't know.
So you tried to appeal it. When you appealed it, because I feel like those appeals they never go.
No, I talked to all the guys at the time. What was the name of the guy that ran Gladiator Challenge? Ted something, I can't remember his last name, and then there's another guy that was running Eagle Mountain, Lawrence something. I told my coaches, tell them, and they went and told them, and they said, hey, there's nothing they can do about it. You can try to get a rematch. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's before.
I was like, that's bullshit. I was like, they fucking cheated, dude. Like, it's obvious, dude. Like, come on, dude. Watch the fucking video, dude. Anyhow, so yeah, that one pissed me off, dude. So then I fought again. My third one was against Jose Torres, and I saw he just teamed up with Ralph Alvarado, who's trained here a couple times, and LeVar Johnson. They made a fight team in Madera, so they're all together now making a fight team. But Jose Torres, I fought him next. He was my third fight, and we fought at King of the Cage. It was on pay-per-view, and that one I was a little bit more in tune for. I did a lot of wrestling. I did a lot more hands. I worked a lot more hands and a lot more hand combination, a lot more Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So I was able, on that one, I was able to pull off like a little bit more striking than I normally would have. I even got enough comfortable where we were on the ground, and I just stood up and told him stand back up, like I want to strike, I want to go, I want to throw down again. So yeah, it was a good fight. I have that one on video. It's on King of the Cage, and I had the DVD at home right now, actually, on my kitchen table, because a buddy of mine's making a highlight video for me from all my fights. Because on that fight, you know, I love Jose Torres to death, dude. He took that fight on a fucking like a few minute notice. Because he wasn't even supposed to fight that day. I was supposed to fight some guy named Jack Morris, but he didn't show up. And I was like, fuck, this is bullshit. I want to fucking fight, dude. And Jose comes in, dude. I already knew him from their Fight Blood, I forgot the name of their team, First Blood Fight Team or something. And he comes in. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, they offered me a fight with you. I just want to know if you're okay with that. And I was like, I mean, we're friends, right? He goes, yeah. I go, well, we'll just be friends right now, and then after the fight, we'll be friends again. He goes, all right. So that was it. And so we fucking got in there, dude. And I fucking commend him for getting in there. You know what I mean? I don't even know if he was training or not, but I didn't go easy. I fucking gave him everything I had, man. You know, he's tough son of a bitch, dude. But I was able. Worked so many takedowns. I probably did like 4 different types of takedowns on him. Yeah. I did judo takedowns. I did a bow and arrow sweep. I did a roll through double leg, did single leg. I did a lateral throw.
You went on a takedown clinic.
I did, and I know he ripped his groin in that fight.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely makes.
But I was conditioned. I was in the best condition. It was a 2 5-minute round fight, and I was in good condition, like for that fight.
Wait, it was 2 5-minute rounds?
Yes.
Oh damn, that's a lot.
That's what we fight in pro.
Yeah, well nowadays it's the 3 5-minute.
Pros are 3?
Yeah, I think they're 5-minute rounds, but they're 3 rounds.
Oh yeah. So we did 2 5s.
Did 2 5s? Okay.
It was 2 5s, yeah.
And then, you know, I know this is a little bit of a kind of fast track, but did you feel like at the end of your kind of MMA career that you got what you wanted out of it? Or
No.
Did you ever feel like sometimes?
No, I felt like there was sometimes I couldn't turn a switch. Like if there was times where I was getting ready for a fight and then I got sick right before one. Right when I fought Darren Chris, I was sick. I had a fever and chills, sweating myself off. That's how I lost my weight. Yeah. The night of the weigh-ins. Right before weigh-ins, I was sick as fuck.
That's a different way to lose weight.
Yeah,
right
yeah. I was sick, and so I just had no energy. And I was able to dominate first round with him, but then I came in for takedowns on the second round without setting it up, and he caught me with knees and took me out.
Yeah.
But I did get a sweet takedown on him. Got a hip toss on him in the first round, and. But that guy, you know, he was a solid fighter, you know what I mean? And he was conditioned, and I had been sick. But I felt like, you know, at that same time during that fight, not only was I sick, but my girlfriend at the time was arguing with the current girlfriend I had and my sister. There was like they were fighting out in the side of the ring, and I'm like watching them fight right before a fight. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, and I'm ready to fight, and then I'm fucking feel like shit. It was just all bad, dude. You know, it was just. And I just couldn't turn the switch on with him. And then there's another fight, you know, too, where like, you know, I could turn the switch on. It was like, sometimes fights are like that. Like you turn that switch on, like if I turn it on, it can't be turned off. You know what I mean? And there was other times where I just couldn't. You couldn't get it going. I couldn't get it going. I was just like, you know, I was just like, fuck. I felt like I was just playing defense the whole time. No. You know what I mean? I couldn't make nothing happen. You know, so. That's the crazy thing about MMA is sometimes, you know, if you're not in the right frame of mind and your life isn't right, like, you shouldn't fight. You know what I mean? But nowadays, like, promoters, you know, like, back then, like, we didn't pull out of fights. Yeah. I'd fight with injury, like, all the time. Like, I had a fucked up ankle. I'd tape up both my ankles. So they didn't know which one was fucked up. And then I fought my first fight. I had a cut over my eye that opened up from my elbow. We glued it shut.
For sure would not have let you
We glued it shut. But if I would have got hit one time, it would open and they would have stopped the fight.
Back then, was it blood? Like, as soon as they seen blood, they were calling it?
If it opened up over your eye and your blood ran, and it was right over my eye. Because I got elbowed on accident. Dustin Arden elbowed me on accident. We were sparring. and he cut me over my eye, and it was a big cut, and I was like, fuck, I can't fight. And Scott's like, yes, you are gonna fucking fight, just don't get fucking hit there.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, so that's when I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill this person, So
Going straight to the ground.
Mount, just mount and ground and pound.
Those eyes, man.
That's it, man. Yeah, dude. So yeah, but I felt injured all the time, man. That wasn't even a deal, dude. Like, it wasn't even a big deal at all.
It's crazy too, because I mean, and especially covering the amateur scene, I see guys all the time, talk about, oh, I have this injury, I got this, or oh, I have this recurring thing. I'm like, fuck, man, it's almost like you should go get that taken care of, or you should just not sign up for fights, because you pulling out of fights all the time, no offense, kind of makes you look like a bitch. And that's coming from somebody, like, I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm the first one hopping in the cage, but it's like, come on, man, like, you're always hopping out of fights, you're always not able to compete, like,
hey, dude, you know what, sometimes it's weird, dude, like, some people, and I've seen this, and not me, I'm not saying that I'm tough and, fuck, I don't pull out of fights, and even if I fight with injuries, like, my injuries weren't to the point where they made me, like, where I couldn't walk on my ankle, or it just hurt like a motherfucker, but I could put weight on it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking fight anyways, because I know once my adrenaline's kicking, I'll be fine, and then afterwards, I will just recover afterwards, and then I won't take a fight till I'm fucking healed up again. You know what I mean? And then if it was a cut, I was like, fuck, I just won't get hit there then. You know what I mean? So that, and some people, they get these, they're just like, man, they're just a glutton for like catching injuries, dude. Like they fuck their knee up, and then the next fucking week their right ankle's really genuinely jacked up.
They like the attention that the injuries cause, though, and like that's always been my thing. It's like they like that people are caring to like look at them, and like. But I'm at the same time, I'm like, fuck, man, how do you get so injured all the time? Like,
I don't know. A lot of times that guys don't drink enough water. They don't warm up good enough before they start training. You know what I mean? Or they just do weird shit. They try something new when they should be trying something new when you're drilling it, not during a sparring session. Unless you've already drilled it enough. You know what I mean? But it happens. I get it. It does happen, but. It was just different. Like back in the day, man, it was just like you didn't pull out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't pull out. Like if people they fucking fight with like a broken hand, dude. Not telling one. They just wouldn't throw that hand and use their elbow instead. You know what I mean? That's kind of shit. That's how they were just different back then.
And I feel like fans of MMA too, they're gonna have so much fucking respect for a guy that goes out there on his shield, and even if he is hurt before that, like obviously, like how we're saying, if it's like a torn ACL, you can't fucking walk on it, and guys are gonna be like, okay, cool, respectable, but if you go into that fight and you're like, my hand was this or whatever, and you came out and your hand's broken, I feel a lot more fans are gonna have that respect for you of like, damn, this guy went in there with his fucking guns a-blazing, shield out, and he was willing to go and fight that fight compared to like, oh, you're gonna pull out because my hand's hurting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
it's
like you said, it's like playing the game smart in a way. Like, okay, cool, my hand's hurting. I'm probably not gonna throw this left hand as much. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like guys don't have that kind of. I know not that same ideology, but
you just different. It's a different thinking pattern, dude. Like you just have to say, okay, well, I'm gonna go to war no matter what, and we're not gonna postpone the war for my injury. So I need to go into war and use what I can use the best of my ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was my own mentality anyways, Not everybody has that mentality, Some people, nowadays, like my job was bouncing back then, and I was going to school, I could bounce with a broken arm. You know what I mean? It didn't matter. But like some people, they have regular jobs, they can't go to work with a broken arm. They need both arms. Like I get it. Like if they're injured, they can't take a risk like that. I completely understand that. You know what I mean? It was just some people are in a better position to take those kinds of risks than other people. Right. So they can't overlook that. You know what I mean?
No, and that's definitely a valid point too. I appreciate you bringing that up too, because especially amateur, it's like these guys are coming off a 9 to 5, and it's like they got to go train, then they got to fight. So it's definitely needing that.
Yeah, they got kids nowadays. You know what I mean? Like.
Exactly.
It's different. It's different. So you have to look at that too. But it is a little different though. But it's just
So what's next for Marc De La Cruz, man? I know you got big plans. You're always looking to kind of help out your students in some sort of way. Is there anything that you got any of your students lined up for, or any grappling tournaments that you got in the works that you're really excited for? I know you got these medals, got everything hanging up around here in the office. Is there anything?
I have my black belt Daniel Camarillo. We are pushing to this tournament in, let me find it for you real quick. It is in LA.
Yeah.
It is called the North American. It's the 18th annual North American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament, and it's at Cerritos College. So that one's on Alejandro Boulevard, Norwalk, California. So we're going to be, it's August 12th to 13th. So we're going to be pushing to that. I'm trying to get as many students as I can to that one because he wanted to try and win the team trophy over there, and I don't think he's won that one yet. And so we really want to push for that one.
Okay.
This last fight to win I hadn't competed in 2 years since then. The last one I did was Naga, and I did the advanced no gi, and then the masters gi division black belt, and I was able to secure the win. I was able to secure the belt on the gi division, but I took second in no gi after 2 fights, and that was a good experience, you know.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to fight the guy that beat me in the no gi and took first. I had to fight him
at Fight to Win.
At the gi division in the finals.
Dang! No
So he beat me in no gi, but I beat him with gi.
Oh shit! So you guys are.
So we both won a belt. Yeah. So it's kind of cool, you know what I mean?
No, that's dope as hell. At least you guys are both walking out of there winners, and I'm pretty sure you guys have that mutual respect for each other after too. You know, it's like
yeah. Absolutely. So that was my last time that I had competed since before Fight to Win. So I was a little bit nervous, you know. I went in at a weight disadvantage fighting Art Hernandez. Art Hernandez is a tough dude, man. His nickname's the War Horse for a reason.
He's been around forever.
Yeah, and he's fought pro MMA. He's won titles at 559 fights and stuff like that. So he's a tough dude. And we've known each other for a while. And he's trained at my gym when I was at Fit Republic. He went over there. We rolled like once or twice before. I really couldn't even remember. I knew that we had rolled, but I couldn't even remember like what his technique was like or anything. So I had no idea what he was going to do. So when we fought, I was coaching from the time the fight started at 5 till all the way to the end of the night.
Yeah, you were helping all your guys.
Yeah, I was trying to get them ready, and so then by the time I was warming up in the back with one of my teammates, Vinny, he's from Brazil, but he trains with Dan. He's a Ricardo Deli. He has a black belt, but he trains with Dan, and he had a fight too. And me, him, and Dan were back there warming up, and I felt kind of good, you know. And then like towards the end of my warm up, I was getting like tired. I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I was like sleepy.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, man. And they're like, I heard my song come on. I'm like, well, it's not time to sleep right now. So I was like, all right, time to go.
What was your song?
Chill Bill.
Chill Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard the.
Yeah, the whistling.
Time to get it going.
Yeah. So the thing is Ari has a good wrestling pedigree, dude. So I was like really surprised that he pulled guard on me. Caught me by surprise. I was like, fuck. I was trying to set up like a big takedown, like a big judo throw. I was trying to set up on him, I remember. And I was like, all right, I'm almost there. I'm going to try to get a couple more movements out of him. And then he like, boom, pulled guard. And I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, fuck it. He pulled guard. And so and then like I passed his guard. But he's really quick to get to his feet. So right when I passed his guard, he was, a wrestler. He got to his feet like really quickly, and I wasn't able to like respond quick enough because I felt like I was like slow. I was like, man, why am I slow? I was like talking to myself, like, man, that was fucking slow. And so he stood back up. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna pull guard on him. Yeah. So I pulled guard on him too. So it was just kind of like a back and forth, And I just won because I just feel like I had more attacks. I thought I had more attacks, and I was right.
Did you get to keep that belt?
No, I didn't get a belt. No. I was a co-main.
Oh, man.
No, I was a co-main, dude. So yeah, hopefully I can get a main event title, like a chance soon. I don't know. I only have that's only my second win at Fight to Win.
Yeah. Who was that main event?
It was a checkmat guy. And his good buddy is Fabricio, and he owns a school over in Exeter. He just opened up.
Nice. Yeah, because I swear I thought you were that main event, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, that's dope for you guys to, and especially the way that they put that event all together, for it all to come kind of like that last week, like right before.
Well, they were a little slow on the promotion. I mean, I could have had like way more of my friends, attending that event than what I had there.
They probably could have sold out that convention center.
Easily. Yeah. Like if I would have set that up and had it like our posters and our matchmaking set up 3 weeks in advance, I would have had like 100 and something tickets sold easily.
Yeah, and then you probably would have been able to get a couple other grapplers on that card as well.
Oh yeah, I would have more people on that card too. But anyhow, hey, I'm running out a little bit of time here, man. I got a wedding I got to be at, and I got to go do some shopping.
Were you? I was just about to wrap it up, my brother. But yeah, I really appreciate your time today, Mark. And obviously you're always welcome. And
We're going to be signing out here today. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News, and I'm going to be signing out with the one, the only, Marc De La Cruz of Vitruvian Martial Arts.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.